Codex Assassins, a supplementary guide released for the 3rd edition of Warhammer 40k, all the way back in the 90s. Back when Warhammer still had a bit of a unique charm to it as a tabletop game. Here we see the very heavy metal cover art of the Eversor assassin, done in the typical style of the time, that does slightly invoke a little bit of that rogue trader appeal. And looks like something you'd see all in the cover of a heavy metal album. Inside, which is probably the most important piece of this, we see the painted examples. These painted examples, of course, give the proper Games Workshop sanctioned colors that you would do for the time, and give me a few different color options. And of course it gives you a little bit of a breakdown here. In normal circumstances, you'll only ever have one assassin model in your army, which allows you to spend plenty of time painting this single miniature. That's what we call today a centerpiece model, where it is a model that you have used and you have created, where it is a model that you have put a lot of time into painting because it's going to be a single model that's used as a supplementary piece with the remainder of an army. Generally what these models were designed for was to be used in an Imperial army. Not exactly Space Marines, but more something along the lines of the Astra Militarum or an Inquisition army. Something that would, or Death Watch would be a good example as well. Something that would, of course, warrant the need for an assassin army. These are painted by the Heavy Metal team, which they're not mentioned much now, but that was the in-house painting crew for GW. Here we have the classic Goblin green bases, some brown ones, because this was 3rd edition, we were slowly transitioning out of the green bases, and showing there's a few variants of each of these too. Like you have a variant of the Eversor Assassin. Here you have the Eversor we're going to show off in this video, which is a classic piece of 40k. And of course we have, at this time they were all black and white, which is to be expected. It was by Gavin Thorpe. The cover art was by Wayne England, and the internal art is by David Gallagher, Alex Boyd, Wayne England, Neil Hodges, Jess Goodwin, Paul Smith, and Des Hanley. The assassin miniatures are sculpted by Jess Goodwin. You can really tell they're quite charming for their time period. And then of course the supplementary materials by Matt Keefe. In here you will find your introduction, which will give you a little bit of blurb, and welcome Grandmaster to Codex Assassins. Within these pages you will find everything you need to unleash the devastating warriors of the Officio Assassinatorium against the enemies of the Emperor. It gives you a bit of blurb about the assassins in 40k, continued, and then what's in the book. This codex breaks down into 3 main sections listed below, each of which illuminates a different area of using the Imperial Assassins in your Warhammer 40k army, which is exactly what would happen. It gives you the Officio Assassinatorium, contains different game rules, army lists, and what assassins you can include in your army. The painting and gaming advice, which includes tips for painting and modeling the assassin, which you don't see really a ton anymore, but it is nice to have. Background, which is a collection of background material, various sources. And of course it gives you an important note that you have to have Space Marines, Imperial Guard, Sister Battle, for example, to use an assassin. If you don't have one of these armies, you're going to have to come up with a very good reason why an assassin is supporting your cause. And you have the Officio Assassinatorium army entry, which gives you, on the pages that follow, you will find entries for the different types of assassins available for your Warhammer 40k battles. This army list allows you to employ assassins in battles using the scenarios included in the Warhammer 40k rulebook, which just so happens I also have a copy of said rulebook using the scenarios included in the Warhammer 40k rulebook, but also provides you with the basic information you'll require in order to field an assassin in scenarios you've devised yourself, or as part of a campaign series of games. This army list is slightly different from others that we have published so far. For a start, you can only ever have one assassin in your army. which is important to note because I think that's still the rule now in modern day as well. If it isn't, I'll put something off on the side of the screen stating that it isn't. Even if you are playing more than one detachment, see page 131 of the Warhammer 40k rulebook, which it does mention that. Secondly, the army list is in two parts. The first section details rules that apply to all Imperial assassins. The second part compromises the rules and war gear that different assassin temples, which are in addition to the general rules of the first part. And here you're given the elites, which is an Imperial assassin. It gives a little bit of blurbs of the slaughter of Clan Mackenzie. Here you have special rules. All assassins are trained to work alone and follow the rules of the independent characters given in this rule book. However, an assassin can never join another unit, and they will always fight individually. So they can't be moved as part of a traditional sortie. They have to be done as a means of a single model moving on the board. Infiltrators, assassins, must be able to sneak past guards, even through the tightest defenses, to reach their targets. An assassin may set up using the rules of the infiltrators if the mission being played allows this. So essentially, you can use them to sneak behind enemy lines, but you have to make sure everybody at the table is okay with that. A lot of people aren't, for various reasons. Fearless. Assassins are implausible, never resting until they or their target is dead. Assassins never fall back, and they are assumed to automatically pass any moral checks they are required to make, even against attacks which normally force their target to fall back with no test taken. Assassins cannot be pinned. Bit of a cheat, but it does make sense since they are a one model unit. Imperial assassins have superb reflexes and are able to leap out of the way of attacks. An assassin has a +4 save and is invulnerable. An assassin must belong to one of the following temples when choosing your army, and they must not change their equipment or take any additional war gear. So, a Vindicator adds 60 points, and Eversor adds 45 points. Calidius adds 70 points, and Caluxus adds 55 points. Here's a little bit of more blurbs. Here we have got the Vindicator Temple, which tells you a bit of blurb of the Vindicator Assassins, then their war gear. Which we're not focusing on this because that's not the focus of this. The Caluxus Temple gives their war gear, special rules. More of the Calidius Temple lore. These are not long supplementary manuals. The Eversor Temple, which is what we're talking about in this video, since we're going to be painting up an Eversor assassin to the best of our abilities. This will probably be a multi-part video where we show off how to restore an old miniature, which is the goal here. But first, let's take a look at its original rule book. Here, the Eversor assassin is given the Executioner's Pistol, which is a bolt needle pistol combi weapon, which combi weapons are still a thing, and may be fired as one or the other, not both in the same turn. If you fire it as a bolt pistol, it is given a range of 12 inches with a strength of 4, an AP of 5, and it is, of course, classified as a pistol. The needle pistol has a range of 12 inches, a strength of X, and an AP of 6. It has a power weapon and melta bombs, which you can find in the regular Warhammer 40k rulebooks. The Neuro Gauntlet is a close combat weapon. Roll to hit as normal, but do not roll to wound. Instead, hits cause one wound of 1d6 plus 4, regardless of the target's toughness, and there is no armor save allowed. Invulnerable saves may be taken as normal. Vehicles hit with a Neuro Gauntlet take a glancing hit on a d6 roll with 6, regardless of its armor status. An Eversor assassin can charge 12 inches in the assault phase, or double the defense of the dice roll of moving difficult terrain. When the Eversor charges into combat, it gains an extra 1d6 attack rather than just a +1 attack. It has the special rule of fast shot, which, due to a tight metabolism, allows it to act with incredible speed. The Eversor never counts as moving when firing its Executioner pistol, so it may always fire twice. The bio meltdown, if the Eversor is killed, place a blast marker centered over the model. Any model touched by the template takes an automatic strength 5 hit with saving throws allowed as normal. The Eversor is then removed from play. And of course, it gives you the Gaming with Assassins, which allows you to do one-man army operations. The Covert Operations gives you a really cool painting of the Eversor Assassin. And the model isn't that far off from that. And it, of course, gives you assassination scenario where you would have your troops, your first attack, and your heavy support. And then your elites, which is what these would classify as, would be elites. Assassination. You must complete its mission to eliminate an opposing commander, make escape, which, you know, like most, even modern modules, it gives you a little bit of a scenario to run, that way you can get used to playing with the characters. I'll leave this here so you can read a little bit of this. And then, of course, the final page is more blurbs, a little bit of rules, but not much. Mostly win conditions. Night Haunter gives a little bit more lore. The Assassitorum and Space Marine chapters give some extra painting ideas. And gives another painting idea for the Eversor that we happen to have. And then on the back of the book, you are given, of course, a little bit of blurbs. You are given barcode printed in the UK, so the miniatures, all of that fun stuff. Now, we are going to take a look at an Eversor Assassin, one of the original models from the time period when this codex would have come out. As you can see, the model has a little bit of a look to it. It has a bit, it's a bit rough around the edges from being used for years. May have originally been painted purple from what I could tell, but he's held together right now with some sticky tack, as you can probably see that. What we're going to do is we're going to strip this model completely clean of all of its original paint and whatever else may have been used on the model. We're going to then prime it black and we're going to paint it. Possibly something in here, possibly not. I have been scrounging around the internet to get some very interesting ideas that I could use for this type of model. And I've come up with some good ideas. Since I do want to throw some color on here, given the fact that the time period this is from, usually Warhammer had some crazy colors in it. Looks like we'll have to clean up some seam lines and have to, but the model is in great shape. These old pewter models tend to hold up very well compared to their modern or semi-modern counterparts. Now, follow me and we will get started. And here we're going to take a much closer look at the Eversor Assassin by Jess Goodwin. Very fun sculpt in my opinion, very kind of goofy, but I like these old Warhammer sculpts for that exact reason. There's a lot we can do with this, but first let's get a little bit of the old paint stripped away and get the model cleaned up. How we're going to do that, obviously, is first we're going to remove him from the base. This is not the base we're going to use for the model, obviously, since there's no point in doing that. They didn't use square bases during that time period anyway. What I have done is I have removed the blue tack from the model, allowing him now to be in multiple pieces, which is how I ordered him originally. And you can see there's a little bit of purple around certain areas of the model. There are some seam lines left here on the legs. There's a little bit left here on the back. There's some gold and some brown here on the arms, which I'm not sure what these would be from, on the needle gun here. And then on the backpack, there's really not much. This is very clean. Now, what I do, since these are pewter models, I like to take a Dixie cup or a solo cup, doesn't matter, any of your choice. I like to take the simple green that you have to dilute. This stuff, of course, just be concentrated. I don't do this usually, I just do it as intended. And what I do is I will take the model I will put in the backpack, I will put in the arm, I will put in the Eversor himself. Then I'm going to take and we're going to pour in just enough to where we're going to cover the model. Okay, that should be enough. Now, what we're going to do is, we have enough in there to cover the model. We're going to let this set overnight. We're going to come and scrub parts of this with a toothbrush. Nothing aggressive, just a toothbrush to clean this up as much as possible. Get it looking really good. Get it back to bare metal. And then we'll prime it probably black or a dark gray. And then we will paint it. I would like this to be a couple part series. So if you guys would like to watch it, let me know. That's the plan here, is to do this. I would like to do a lot more tabletop focused stuff. That would be a great thing to do, in my opinion. I would love to do that this year. Now, thank you. Tune in for part 2, which will be happening soon. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.